people. Hello, whoever's here. I'm still sharing it, so share it with your friends, share it with your enemies, share it with anybody that's going to stir shit up. That's what we want. Stir the shit up, yeah. Bourbon aged heathen. I know this part's boring, but I'm sharing with some people. I'm just like, sending it to me. Oh, Uncle Birch coming to you live from New Orleans. Didn't see who's here. Alzaun, hello. Daniel, hello. Kwegi Kafalunga. Whoa, wow. That's a Nigerian name if I ever heard one. Malia, hello. Uncle Birch coming to you live from New Orleans. I just spent the last several hours updating Witch School, WitchSkewl. Find that under my profile. The classes are now, the Gumroad has done some weird things, and so I've revamped the entire site to make it work better while they keep fixing stuff that's not broken. So I now have level 1 and level 2 Witch School up there, and you can join them at any time. So just, follow the profile or Google WitchSkewl. Wait a minute, is there a way to post shit? So just, follow the profile or Google WitchSkewl. Wait a minute, is there a way to post shit? I'm trying to autofill. Just autofill, bitch. God. Witch School. Yes. There we go. How the hell are you, Uncle Birch? Coming to you live from New Orleans. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. I think it's maybe almost 80. So we have survived another Louisiana summer. Woo! I'm going to drink off camera. Thank you. Louisiana summer. Woo! I'm going to drink off camera. Thank you all for Louisiana summer. Woo! I'm going to drink off camera. Thank you all for Louisiana summer. Woo! I'm going to drink off camera. Thank you all for joining. Is it like months ago? Is who closed practice? I mean, we can talk about what. Thank you all for joining. Is it like months ago? Is who closed practice? I mean, we can talk about what he wants to do. So the title of today's broadcast is closed practice. I mean, we can talk about what he wants to do. So the title of today's broadcast. So if you want to invite people over here that want to agree or disagree, and I can put them on the screen and we can go toe to toe, figure that out. Ode to my coffee. Hello, how are you? Figure that out. Ode to my coffee. Hello, how are you? Figure that out. Ode to my coffee. Hello, how are you? Figure that out. Ode to my coffee. Hello, how are you? Yeah. Devil, I said, I don't believe anymore. If you mess with me before coffee, then the devil, I said, I don't believe anymore. If you mess with me before coffee, then you're going to meet. If you mess with me before coffee, then you're going to meet. If you mess with me before coffee, then you're going to meet Satan. Please, let me look. Hold on. All right. Hopefully that fixes my connection issues. I haven't spent a whole lot of time in the backyard in a while, so my connection's a bit different. No, Hoodoo isn't closed. Well, that doesn't help us, but thank you. But you know, if there's people that disagree with me, let's get on there. Let's talk it out. Let's talk it out. It seems to be still a sore subject. I mean, the video that I made is over 6 months old, and I recall that Bree was catching a whole bunch of shit, and she said it's my fault because I hadn't done enough to piss people off in a bit. So I actually did that video knowing it would piss people off to take some heat off of Bree, like at least 6 months ago, and all of a sudden it's getting all kind of traffic, and that's what everybody's talking about. Yes, good morning to you. I think it's still morning here. I don't even know what time it is. I used to have the time up here, but I can't see it anyways. Love your content. Oh, thank you. Well, I have a whole lot more. You go to YouTube. I got over 20 years of content on YouTube. I was one of the original YouTube witches to teach witchcraft, and the only people that were on there longer than me teaching witchcraft have gone away or departed this world. So I'm OG on YouTube. So on my profile, I think you just hit the little play button. It takes you over to my YouTube. Check that out. Even have a entire intro course for free over there. Drunken Oracle, how the hell are you? It always just amuses me. We've come so far, and now when I see Drunken Oracle, it's a happy occasion. We were not always so happy, were we? But that's in the past. 12:15 here. Oh, okay, it was afternoon over there. Uncle Bert's coming to you live from New Orleans, where it is a lovely day. I think Crew of Boo rolled last night. We got our Halloween parades going on. They were practicing in my neighborhood the other day. I posted a video of them practicing on my Facebook. They have these lounge chairs on wheels that they drive around in. I don't know what else happens in the parade, but that's cool enough right there. And then, they're all dressed like witches, so outside my house, I had to get a clip of that, right? Uncle Bert's coming to you live from New Orleans. So, is that what you want to talk about, or you want to talk about something else? You can ask to get in the box. But it seems to be something we go round and round and round about. Is hoodoo a closed practice? And people often say to me, "Is like, well, I'm an African American, so I get to decide." And you listen to me, it's like, well, I'm an Italian American. Am I the Pope? Does that give me licentia? No, it does not. You have to be actually in the thing. Let's see what Mark the Sage has to say. I don't know Mark the Sage, so we'll see how it goes. And I'll kick him off if I have to. Hey, Mark. Mark's still getting in there. Wow. Oh, okay, Mark's in there. Hey, Mark, how are you? How are you? Where are you? All that.
Hold on.
Hello, Mark.
Are you there, brother?
Yep, you just unmuted yourself, so we hear you.
For some reason, it wouldn't let me unmute myself for a moment there. I couldn't hear anything.
Yeah, it does weird shit sometimes. How are you? Where are you?
Oh, I'm doing just fine, brother, and I'm from Oklahoma. I'm a farm boy.
A farm boy from Oklahoma. Right on, right on.
How are you today, my friend?
I'm doing great. I think we survived another Louisiana summer. It's been like down in the 50s in the mornings lately. I think the highest we're going to get today is 80, so that's nothing. So, hopefully hurricane season's over. That'd be great.
Hey, I hope so too. Y'all have been through it over there.
We haven't got much, really. We had one, I think it was category 1 that rolled through, and we weren't really in the cone. Didn't do a whole lot of damage. Some people lost power. It was nothing like the hurricane that went up into the Appalachians and all that shit. It's like those people really got it. In Florida got it, got hit twice. So we've been doing okay. But people told me that after 2 years of we've been doing okay, but people told me that after 2 years of would go down, and that's a fucking lie. It didn't go down at all, and that's a fucking lie. It didn't go down at all. I never filed a claim for a goddamn thing. It did not go down. So we don't have a mortgage, so I don't ever filed a claim for a goddamn thing. It did not go down. So we don't have a mortgage, so I don't have to have homeowners insurance. So we'll see what we end up doing with that. So what do you practice there, Mark?
What do I practice? Like spiritually?
Witchcraft. Yeah, magically. Yeah, spiritually, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a ceremonial practitioner. I mostly work within the hermetic aspect of spirituality. And yourself? I'm
a witch. So anything I can find that helps my magic, I will utilize it. Be it even ceremonial magic. When I grew up, the common way for Wiccans to cast circle was using the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, just tweaked for different purposes. So definitely utilize me some ceremonial magic. Do you know Frater Xavier?
Yes, sir.
Well, he's a good friend of mine, man.
Yes, sir. Are you talking about the Order of the Temple of Astarte?
I'm not sure what orders he's in, but Frater Xavier, he teaches on YouTube, on Gumroad, been around for a long time, but he mostly teaches ceremonial magic.
Do you know who Paul Grunion is?
Oh, God, yeah. Poke Runyon?
Oh, yeah. He is the magus of the Order of the Temple of Astarte.
Okay, yeah, he actually responded to me on YouTube a couple times when I commented on his video. I don't know how old you are, but way back, we only had a cartoon of The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, and there was a narrator that sounds exactly like him. He totally reminds me of the narrator from the original Hobbit and Lord of the Rings.
Oh, that is so cool. He's how I got into Hermeticism. I started listening to the Hermetic Hour.
Yeah, yeah. Totally listen to that. His delivery, just the way he speaks, is epic. And the witch store that I grew up in as a kid, literally grew up in the back of the store. To this day, just says hermetic supplies and exotic herbs on the window.
Oh, wow, that is cool.
It's all, even in witchcraft, it all is gonna. If we follow it back far enough, we're gonna end up at hermetics, all of us.
Oh, man, you totally got that right. And if you ever want to look at Pope Grunion actually performing a ceremonial magic ritual, he has it on YouTube. The Order of
Yeah.
the Temple of the Starte has the full ritual that they did with I'm trying to remember his name, but he's one of the Jinn of the Ars Goetia.
Yeah, I even bought his audio book, but his audio book was videos I'd already seen for free on YouTube. It's like, all right, well, you know, he deserves the money. I watched it for free before, so I'll pay for the audio book.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, Poke Runyon. Yeah, he's if everybody hasn't seen him, look him up. It's just his delivery. The stuff he delivers is really cool too, but just the way he delivers it. Yes, I'm a initiated in the Palamayambe. I'm a Tata. I mean, this is a bandera. It's traditionally worn over the right shoulder, kind of a bandolera kind of thing. But I have doubled mine up, kind of a necklace kind of thing. It's hard to walk around when it's on bandera.
Oh, that is so cool. It is crazy to meet someone who understands the ceremonial magic practice. It is so hard to find.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of where I'm on with this hoodoo things. Like, I grew up in a hybrid hoodoo. A lot of the stuff that I learned was hoodoo in nature, but also recognized the planetary movements, the lunar movements, the star movements in its magic. And hoodoo doesn't tend to do that. So I often piss a lot of people off, say my hoodoo is better than your hoodoo, because magic involves us trying to control the variables we can control. It's a scientific process, and we know that all these planets and all these stars and their movements are sending energy into this sphere that we can either utilize or not utilize, overcome or not overcome. And then there's all kind of shit that we can't see and we can't track. There's variables that we can't track. So the planetary movements, the star movements, the lunar movements, the Earth's movements, those are variables we can track and we can utilize. And if we're not utilizing those in our magic, we have a weaker magic than the magic that does utilize it. Michael Floki, how are you?
That's exactly right. When you have an understanding of the flow of the energy on your plane, you can really get in tune with what's going on and how it's flowing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I should put out there, people, now that we got more people, I just revamped Witch School, WITCHSKEWL. Level 1 and Level 2 are up there now, and you can join them whenever you want. You get your first class within a couple hours of joining. And then next, I put up Level 3. Trying to Gumroad.com has been doing some weird things that have screwed up a lot of my classes, so I'm trying to revamp the entire process. But if you hit my profile link thing, you'll go to that other thing that I can't talk about. If you hit the button that says classes, it'll take you right over there. You can see what we're offering over there at Witch School.
Oh, that is cool.
I'm Uncle Birch, coming to you live from New Orleans, where I teach witchcraft for a living, and I've been doing it for about 30 years as a living. I've been teaching for 45 plus years, but it took a while for the world to turn to where I could actually make a living doing that.
Wait, you said you're in New Orleans and you practice hoodoo?
I do practice some hoodoo. Like I said, the hybrid hoodoo that I grew up with. which utilizes lunar movements, planetary movements, star movements, stuff that hoodoo tends not to recognize in most circles.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. And why I threw it up there, is hoodoo a closed practice, which is, always a big debate out here on TikTok. When you're in New Orleans, the world is very different than your world, all of your worlds. Okay, every magical practice, every folk magic, even voodoo itself, has been thrown into a blender here, and somebody hit puree and mixed them all together. So here in New Orleans, you got to really stretch to do cultural appropriation, because it's not a word that tends to be used here. The cultures, the magical cultures, have integrated here. They have all shared ideas, and it's a very different place than where you all live. Every one of you.
Oh, man.
Is very different.
I've got a question for you, if you don't mind.
Well, you're here, so yeah, go ahead.
Have you ever had an experience with Papa Legba?
Absolutely.
Okay. I've met an individual that claims to be the embodiment of Papa Legba. And he's also a 32nd degree Freemason. I'm just quite curious. Have you ever heard of anyone embodying such an individual?
I've heard of people ridden by Papa Legba, where they danced all the way to the church. There's a big story about that. The thing you got to understand, it's an African idea. Papa Legba is voodoo, but then there's Legba. There's who is it? Elegua, which is related to Papa Legba, and then there's in Palo there's Lucero, and each one of those characters is the guardian of the crossroads and the first deity you have to appeal to speak to any of the others. It's like the gateway. And in all of those traditions, it's a trickster deity, but it's, Papa Legba, Lucero, they're all pretty much the same character. They have the same holy days, same color scheme, same likes, same dislikes, just different names depending on which African traditional religion you're coming from, basically.
Okay, that's cool. I was just curious because I had never heard of anyone embodying such a powerful deity before. Never even met anyone like that.
Embodying is a weird word. Ridden by, that does happen, but you'd be ridden. You wouldn't be in control of Papa Legba at all. And most of the African traditional religions are transpossessory religions, where you are ridden by spirits, you are ridden by deities, for lack of a better word. And they're absolutely in control of everything that happens after that point.
Okay, so what do you mean by ridden? I'm sorry, this is a new term to me.
Possessed is a word, Western word that we would understand. Being possessed by those spirits.
Okay, so the spirit's in control of you. You're not in any control of the spirits, what you're trying to say, right?
No, my tata for my initiations was ridden by Candela. So he was ridden by a female. He became a female. He only spoke Spanish, so I had to have somebody translate some of the stuff. But this guy or this girl kept having me refill this wooden bowl with rum. And my tata down 3 bottles, big bottles of rum in this. So it's kind of like a reading to decide whether you can get involved. I'm not going to give the name out. And when the ceremony was over and my tata was not being ridden by Candela anymore, after 3 bottles of rum, wasn't drunk at all, wasn't even buzzed.
Oh, wow.
when the ceremony was going on, oh yeah, Candela was like ripping it. But as soon as the ceremony was over, man, he was sober as fucking anybody. And so that really, the realism of the ritual really hit me at that point. It's like, there's no fucking way. No way. That guy drank enough fucking rum to die of alcohol poisoning, and he was fine afterwards.
Right. Wow. That's an amazing story. That is such a spiritual experience. Was that one of your first spiritual experiences, or would you be able to talk on like your first spiritual experience?
Oh God, I don't even know if I can go back far enough. I mean, 45 years of this.
That's how long you've been on the spiritual journey?
Yeah, I was in early in high school. My best friend, we were ditching school. Hers was like the house that everybody hung out at when they're ditching school. Her mom, we believed, was worked during the day. So one day we broke into her room, and I found her witch closet. And I immediately went to her notebook, and I looked at her notebook, and I immediately understood exactly what it was. Like, okay, she did this spell with this, that, and the other components, and then 3 months later, the results. 3 moons. That's traditional in standard witchcraft. And there were several bottles of colored powders and incense and that kind of thing. And one of them said, the Eye of the Cat, 3314 East Broadway, Long Beach, California, 90803. Had the address on. So I spent all day walking and taking buses and trying to get myself to that witch store. I walked into that witch store, and it was the front of the store was what we would call in this day and age, even though it didn't exist yet, like a new age store. There was herbs, there was crystals, there was books about healing, that kind of thing. And this ominous woman that just stared at me and looked right through to the core of my soul. Every move I made, I felt her eyes upon me. And then, so I'm looking around, I'm going, you know, I came a really long way to find this place, and this isn't what I was looking for. As I said to her, I said, excuse me, do you have any? And she cut me off. She went, books? And all of a sudden, this wall that had been there, that was the end of the store, was no longer a wall. It was a beaded curtain with a room behind it. She parted the beads. I walked in. There was the witch store. There was all of the books, all of the equipment. The first book I grabbed onto was the Greater Keys of Solomon. I sat down and I started reading. And this woman, she's always kind of in the background, lurking around. And right when I'd finish a book, she'd walk by and drop another book in my lap. And it was always the perfect book for what I wanted to know next. It's like she saw my soul. And this went on for weeks. I'm ditching school. I just started that school. I ditched so much, they're getting ready to kick me out of that school because I've been studying witchcraft full time. And one day she wafted by and a book did not drop into my lap. And I look up at her and she's looking down at me and says, you know, we offer classes. Usually you've got to be 18 for that. But we're always on the lookout for certain special individuals. And we would be open to letting you in the class. I was a latchkey. I was a latchkey kid, so my parents had no control over me anyways. It's like kind of being an emancipated minor without the paperwork. So eventually, I literally dropped out of high school to study witchcraft full time. And then about a year later, I went back and I took the GED, so I cleared all that up. So I'm not recommending that to the kids, but That's what I did. I This is what really moved me. Everything that I read, I immediately understood. I immediately could retranslate that. I was teaching witchcraft about a week or two later. I started teaching my friends witchcraft. And they were a very organized tradition. And when they got wind of that, they called me to the carpet and they said, look, you're not initiated as a teacher. You're not even initiated in this tradition yet. You're not, you cannot teach. I said, well, while I may not teach, whether I can or I can't would require you to talk to my students, see if I have taught them. And they did that. They convened a grand witches fucking council, man. Big deal. I had no idea what a big deal was. And I sat out in this hallway, and about 5 of my students went in one at a time and got questioned. I don't even know what the questions were. When the smoke cleared, they came out. They scheduled my first and second initiation. Second degree in that tradition is teacher. So they scheduled my first initiation, scheduled me teaching with like student teacher, training with a teacher. They mapped out the course of my life. I was like 13 years old at this fucking time, and
Wow.
they were right. I was being taught shopcraft, and then I ended up owning my own witch store for about 20 years until I just didn't want to do that anymore. I didn't want to stay in that town and run the witch store anymore, so I just closed that down. So I'm literally at 13 years old. I found what I'd be doing the rest of my life, and here I am. And you're right, Mom. My witch mom, Judith Dufresne, she saw it, she knew it, and she was fucking right. So I guess that's my first spiritual experience, I guess.
I can totally vibe with where you're coming from. When I was about 15 years old, I met a woman that was a witch. Her mother was a witch, and her father was also a practitioner of magic. And I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but it changed my life forever. And I can really resonate with where you're coming from on that. That's a great story. Thank you.
Absolutely. If anybody else wants to come in the box, talk about whatever you want, hop in there. Seraphima! I want Seraphima in the box, man. Now, I know that sounds dirty, but I want Seraphima in the box. I haven't seen Seraphima in a minute.
I'm just curious. How's your spiritual journey going these days? Is it going well?
Oh, God, yeah. I'm in New Orleans. It's like, that's all there is. This is where to fucking be. Either this or Salem is where a person like me needs to be. And I don't like the northeastern vibe of the Salem people, really. I've never even been to Salem. I don't like the vibes. Like New Orleans, man, let the fucking good times roll, man. That's what we're all about. Everything's a celebration. And I've often said the difference between pagans and Christians is the translation of the word celibate. They heard celibate, we heard celebrate, and that's what makes us different than them.
Oh, wow. Do you meet many individuals like yourself, or do you feel like you're an anomaly?
Nobody's like me, but everybody I know is a witch, a practitioner of some kind of craft. Even down, I know hoodoo people, Santeria, Lakumi. Everybody I know, except for my lawyer, is pretty much a practitioner. But I met my lawyer through a hoodoo practitioner, so but he's a good friend of mine too.
Oh,
But
man.
yeah, everybody. It's all spiritual here, man.
I got another question for you. I'm sorry. This
No.
morning, I've been attacked by a few individuals that were coming at me because I was representing an individual practitioner. Have you ever been come at before by individuals that want you to align with their group?
Yeah. Well, if you look up there, it says Uncle Birch 9. That's how I keep track of how many accounts I lost. I'm up to 9 accounts. The first one was like 75,000. Second one was 50,000. Third one was 20,000, and on down to where we are now. Yes. Oh, Adam Freighter Xavier is a good friend of mine. Absolutely, man. He's the one. He's the one that taught me how to do what I just did at Witch School. And was to automate the classes to where they come out immediately once you sign up. You take them at your own speed. But get over there to Witch School, WITCHSKEWL. Hit my link in the profile and you'll get over there.
He sounds familiar. Is he a part of the OTA?
He probably is. Freighter Xavier, I'm one of the only people I know that has ever seen his face. He's all about mystery. You never see Freighter Xavier's face. He's very famous on YouTube. He teaches at Gumroad. And he's been doing it a very long time. But pretty much ceremonial magic. That's
exactly what I've known from the documentaries, and they claim to be the oldest ceremonial magic group in the country.
Who?
The OTA, more specifically. The Order of the Templar Astarte. The Order of the Templar Astarte, the Canaanite goddess.
The OTO's older than that. Golden Dawn's older than
was
that.
The one who claimed that the OTA was the oldest ceremonial magic group in the country. That's the only reason I reference it.
I mean, they may be, but they just weren't public. I mean, of groups that we know of, we got the Golden Dawn and OTO were probably the oldest ones that we know of. But they were, kind of public about it.
Right. I mean, the OTA is quite public about it as well. On YouTube, you can find their videos where they have the full rituals that they go through.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very odd how certain individuals will come at us for our individual practice. How have you dealt with that before?
Dealt with what? My dogs are going off.
Well, I mean, how have you counteracted individuals that were trying to indoctrinate you or attack you for your particular beliefs?
Logic, reason, evidence. If you don't have those, you can fuck off. People always try and get me involved in their mobs and their causes, and if you don't have those things, I'm not going to be involved.
Fair point. So you've been attacked by groups before, like full-on groups?
Oh hell yeah! I'm known for teaching witchcraft, but I'm probably best known for my magical warfare series. And back in the day on TikTok, with some of the stuff that was going on, my magical warfare feeding on your enemies was all the rage, man. I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars up for that one because all the TikTok people needed it, where you just convert the energy that's being sent at you to make you stronger and make your enemy weaker. You feed on your enemies. So occasionally I'll do something like make a video that, like hoodoo's not a closed practice, just to piss people off and eat their energy.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Or like I did one time, real witches don't vote Republican. Oh, that pissed a lot of people off. I got a lot of free energy off of that one. Oh my God. I've done that one like 4 times.
Oh man. Sounds like you're good at figuring out how this whole energy game works. You see the whole energy realm over the physical.
Absolutely. It is my primary focus. Everything's spiritual to me. I don't get woo-woo and, frou-frou about it. It's like, oh, there's a spirit there. Hey, bro, what's up?
Yeah, that was the crazy thing this morning. Some individuals went at me, because I just wouldn't represent what they wanted me to represent in their group. And I just was like, wow, individuals that claim to be high-ranking spiritual beings are not doing what they're saying they're doing. They're coming at me because they don't like the fact I represent my own energy. The fact I won't represent their energy. I'm going to represent mine.
Yeah, and that happens to me all the time. People will yell and scream and use emotional arguments at me to try and get me to join their side. And it's like, again, logic, reason, and evidence. If you don't have those, you can fuck off. You need those things or I'm not going to get involved. And that keeps me from getting involved in internet shit all over all of my social media. People just mob up. Like there was this woman on the Young Turks, and everybody was mobbing up on her, saying that she was anti-trans. And the reason, and I said, okay, so why is she anti-trans? They said, well, she refuses to call herself a person, a birth-giving person, and or a person that menstruates. And that's what the trans people wanted her to refer to herself as. And it's like, you know what? I go along with trans people calling themselves whatever they want and whatever pronouns they want to use. But you can't come along at a woman and force her to use the pronouns that you want her to use and then mob up on her and call her anti-trans if she doesn't. I understand we're trying to use inclusive language and make everybody feel comfortable, but you don't get to tell somebody else what pronouns they have to use to make you feel better about yourself. This is not going to fly. And I got labeled a transphobe, a TERF, you name it over that. It's like, no, I'm not going to follow your fucking party line unless your fucking party line has logic, reason, and evidence. And fucking, so far, with the trans argument, it's like, I'll refer to you whatever you want to fucking be called, man. That's cool. Whatever you want to fucking. My pronouns are witch, warlock, and arrogant bastard. You don't like my fucking pronouns? You fuck off. But you can't force other people to adopt your pronouns that you put on them. They get that freedom too. And, for her not to want to refer to herself as a person that menstruates is her fucking option. Doesn't make her fucking a transphobe, but these people just are so in their fucking emotions. They want to mob up on everything. It's like, again, if you're new here, an emotional argument doesn't mean shit. I'm a Cancer. I spent most of my early life being ruled by my emotions, but a spiritually unevolved person adheres to their sun sign. They're still like their sun sign was. They haven't made any fucking progress. I am not ruled by my emotions anymore. I am ruled by logic, reason, and evidence, and I stick to those so I don't get ruled by my emotions. But these mobs that come out, emotional fucking things, they want to fucking motivate you with their emotion. They're all pissed about this. They're all pissed about. I don't give a fuck what you're pissed about. I hate to borrow one from the Republicans, but nobody gives a fuck about your feelings. Your feelings don't mean shit. Out here on TikTok, we're talking, do whatever you feel. It's like, really? Who out there has never been ruled by their emotions in the wrong ways? Who's never made a mistake based on following their emotions? Find me that person.
Oh man, that brings me back to the argument I was in just about an hour ago. Is just someone trying to argue with me that their perception of reality is better than a judgment of reality. Better than
That's
man.
like the personal. It's like the personal truth people. It's like, okay, there's personal truth. There's objective truth. Objective truth doesn't matter who you are, what you think. It is the truth. Your personal truth is whatever you fucking feel, and feelings are not reality.
You got that right. I mean, wisdom wouldn't be wisdom if it was changeable. I mean, if it was changeable based on your perception of reality, it wouldn't be never changing.
Yes. And it's the search for wisdom that brings knowledge. Not you can't give wisdom. People have to search for that.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's the thing that upset the people tonight is they were like, "Oh, he sounds so judgy. He's coming from a place of judgment." You know, it's like, "Yeah, I am. I'm coming from a place of my judgment because I've learned the lessons. I've studied the wisdom. I've read the books. That's where I'm coming from.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not coming from how I
Absolutely.
feel. I'm coming from what I know."
Well, the thing that's gotten me in the most trouble on the internet is knowing things that others don't know. And that pisses off the 14-year-old high priestesses out here because they weren't taught what I was taught or they didn't learn what I learned. What I always say to people is like, look, I'm a teacher. If you just shut the fuck up and get out of your goddamn feelings, I'll teach you that goddamn thing. I don't hold anything over anybody's head. I don't act like I'm some high muckety muck for all my years and the fucking crap. I know some shit and I'll teach you this shit if you just if you're not a dick. Just don't be a dick. That's all. Golden rule, man. Do good things. Don't be a dick.
Oh yeah, and don't try to make people a reflection of yourself. You know, I've learned that lesson from so many people. They're just trying to make me
Yeah.
representations of who they are. It's like
Absolutely.
this is an individual practice. This is an individual journey. Your spiritual journey is unique to you. It's not for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Well said. Absolutely. It's your journey. Nobody can dictate your journey.
That's how I truly know someone's not on the right spiritual path, is when they're trying to make me a reflection of themselves. It's like, you gotta stop doing that, you know?
Yeah. Controlling others is never a valid spiritual journey. And I always tell people that. You always got to watch out for that. Like, if you're getting involved in groups, like, is your priest or priestess trying to control your lives to make you like them? It's like, no, they should be working with who you are, working with where you are, not trying to make you like them. That's not a priest or priestess, and that's a red flag. Somebody that's trying to control somebody. The way we do it in our system is like, we'll ask for a leader for a certain ritual or a certain cause, certain thing that we're doing. I'll ask for volunteers and I'll look for the hand that doesn't go up. And that's the person I'm going to pick. The person that wants to lead others, the person that wants to control others is not going to be a good leader. The person that does not want to do that, but is going to do their duty, is going to be a better leader than somebody that just wants to fucking control people.
Oh, you said it right there. Those who don't want power deserve it the most because they are not seeking it.
Absolutely. I never wanted it, and I've been leading fucking thousands of witches for fucking decades now, and I never fucking wanted that. I resisted it. As a matter of fact, I'm an anarchist, but I had to, recognize that there are leaders and there are followers. And some people are just never going to be leaders. It's up to me to find the people that have potential to be leaders and train them how to be good leaders. That's my job.
Hey, there you go. I mean, that's the whole point. We're teaching each other as leaders. When we get down to it, we're both teachers and students all the time. We're always learning from each other, it seems.
That's the way it should be. Like, the people that think they know everything are the worst people on earth. Sorry, I'm taking a piss.
You're all good, brother. But yeah, I mean, those that don't seek the power, they deserve it the most because they're not wanting that. It's not their intention. They're doing stuff for others because that's actually their intention and has nothing to
They're
do
just
with
like,
power.
it's like doing their duty, you know? It's like, all right, well, you know, I've got to lead, you know, so I'm going to do my job. But people that want that job, it's always a red flag. It's like, why? Why do you want that job? You want to be able to tell people what to do? Why? Why do you want to do that? What's wrong with you?
Exactly. And there's always a selfish reason behind it when you get down to it.
Well, quite frankly, it tends to be an elderly, overweight woman in a purple robe that wants to control others. People that want to control others and flock to the priesthood. Often you can see from the outside that they have no control over their personal lives, their health, their hygiene, anything of the fucking kind. And they're going to compensate for that by finding others to control. And if that's you and you're mad, well, Uncle Bert's coming to you live from New Orleans. Having a good talk with Mark over here. If anybody else wants to get in the box, hit the little thing to get in the box. The hygiene. It's true. It's true. I'm sorry. The fugly want to rule more than the people that are not. Not trying to prop up the beautiful people, but the people that are not are people that want to control others more than other people.
Hey, fair point. When you're projecting those insecurities onto other people, it tends to come from a place of control.
Absolutely. If you want to control other people, you need to do some serious soul searching, man. I'm dying because somebody told me my spells don't work. And they stunk bad. The people that told you that stunk bad. Yeah. And this is decades of witchcraft life experience. I'm speaking from the people that tried to control others all the way back when I was a kid, and I was an anarchist witch, so I clashed against these people greatly. Were unhygienic and fugly and very large, and they very much wanted to control people. And in my tradition, there was like a right wing and a left wing, and there was a ritual called the rite of Pan, which is the closest you'd ever come to a witch's orgy, and it was done in an entire house. There was like a hot tub and beds and pillows and cushions everywhere for people to engage the way they wanted to. And what happened was the fugly woman from the right wing, one of her students ended up in the hot tub with one of my teachers from the left wing, and that was the first implosion of my tradition. The shit that came out of that, because secretly the fugly priestess wanted to sleep with one of her students, and that student ended up sleeping with somebody else's teacher, which in our tradition, teachers sleeping with students was against the rules anyways. But that's where it all came from.
Oh, wow.
Oh, the birds come.
What a journey, though. I mean, you've experienced so much magic that, I mean, it probably shaped you so differently than the other individuals around you.
Yeah, I've done a lot of things, but magic was always kind of, at the core. of everything I ever did. There was a guy in front of me, in the class ahead of me, and he was a friend of mine. And I was working. I was a busboy, $3.35 an hour, I believe I was making. I was the white busboy, and he was a security guard. And I went and visited him, and he was sitting guarding the cars of the people that worked at an oil island. So he's sitting in this little shack 2 feet from the ocean, and I'm sitting there with the guy for hours. We're smoking, herbs, and he's reading books. And I go, so what do you do here all night? He says, well, I get high and I study witchcraft all night. I go, how much you making? He goes, $650. I was like, that's like double what I'm making at the time, man. It's like, shit, can you get me a job? And he got me a job. I ended up in Compton getting shot at all night. No, I didn't have a cushy post like he had, but eventually that security work led into a security specialist civilian position within the National Guard, which I did for several years. And then that experience made it so I could become a cop. And then I did that as an anarchist. I was an anarchist cop for like 3 years. I was trying to change the system from within. I really only lasted 3 years until my sergeant decided to beat a Hispanic gentleman that was already in handcuffs, and I stopped the assault and turned my sergeant in. That led to many horrors in my fucking life and the end of that fucking career. But that, witchcraft was such a form. Witchcraft led me to that path. And then after that, then I became an activist and anti-police activist, and I moved to a town called Santa Cruz and trained the activists in Cop Watch how to watch cops. The radio codes, the secret inner workings of the police force. I taught these kids what I had learned on the job. So, but all of it motivated by witchcraft. Witchcraft was always there. Many jobs, many different things I did, from enemy of the state to servant of the state. All of it happened because of witchcraft.
Do you have an altar?
Several.
Several? Over time?
At this stage, every flat space in my house is an altar to somebody. Every table, every counter, everything you got. There's altars everywhere in my house at this point.
Oh man, how many portals you got open there?
Many.
Oh, that's cool. Your house must be really interesting.
Well, yeah, and the house is from the 1800s, so it's haunted as hell. So plenty of ghosts wandering around my house.
Oh, you've met them?
Oh yeah, the first time I met him is the first hurricane we had, probably about 4 months after we moved in, and the power got knocked out. Electricity limits a lot of the spiritual stuff that goes on, but you take away that electromagnetic field, and you'd be shocked how full of stuff your house is. So first time we had a power outage, it was like I've often said it was like the ballroom scene in the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland. Or Disney World.
Wow. Do you see them out of the corner of the eye, or can you see them directly?
I don't think you can see them directly. It's a peripheral kind of like there's a ancient Irish belief that if you can catch a fairy in the center of your eye for 3 seconds, they're forced to grant you a wish. That's because it's impossible to catch them in the center of your eye. It's a peripheral vision thing, spiritual stuff, fairies, whatever you got, they're not going to be in the center of your eye.
That's how it was for me. My first time meeting a spiritual entity was out of the corner of my eye. That was it. I couldn't see them directly.
That's where those things tend to exist. I've often taught people, actually a martial arts technique that I borrowed. It's like lower your chin to your chest and look forward. And you keep that, usually you're maybe looking at the candles, usually a good focal point, but you're really training this. And the martial arts technique for this is train your peripheral vision so you can see behind you. And with practice, you can see behind you when you're like this, looking forward. And that's a standard occult technique too. But what we're really doing is training these. And then one time, somebody came back from a carnival with like a box of these glasses that they like lit up around the rim. They're LED things. And we were playing with these things, and they were like training our peripheral vision to look at the edge of the glasses. And I wish I could have got me several cases of those things. They were epic. They were really good training for training your peripheral vision.
Wow.
And I should mention, since we got all these people here and I haven't mentioned it all, I am Uncle Birch coming to you live from New Orleans, where I teach witchcraft for a living. I've been teaching it for 45 plus years. In just a couple weeks in my class, you'll know more than half of the people on WitchTok. And I know it's an arrogant thing to say, but I've earned it. So you hit my profile, go over to the thing that says classes. It'll take you over there. I just fixed level 1 and level 2 witchcraft. You can join anytime. It's a year-long course. But as soon as you join, you get your first class a couple hours later. And so I've been working on Gumroad for about 10 years, and Gumroad keeps changing shit, doing all this stuff. So I've spent a lot of time cleaning up and revamping Witch School, which is, of course, WitchSkewl. So if you want, you can just Google Witch School, WitchSkewl, because I'm the only crazy motherfucker that spells it that way. I have a pair of LED glasses from base. Yeah, it was just something we played with for a while, but damn, it was really good at training you to look forward, but actually be focusing on this.
Hey, there you go. What was it like to see your first spiritual entity out of the corner of your eye? Was it intense? Was it something that surprised you?
Was intense. Didn't surprise me. I often say that the mettle of a witch is tested in the times when things actually go bump in the night. When spiritual shit actually happens, what is their reaction? My reaction is like, oh, hey, what's up, bro? How you doing? But people that freak out and run out of the circle, well, they're not going to make it.
My first time meeting a spiritual entity, it looked at me and it just stared, and it was green and covered in chains.
Maddie Tiao one. Yeah, nobody's really talked about the title of the show, but if you want to come in the box and talk about it, we can. Just hit the little guest thing down there. No, I do not believe that hoodoo is a closed practice. I don't believe that you can have a closed folk magic. Hoodoo's folk magic. It's African American folk magic. You can't have a closed practice. The religious aspect of hoodoo is either Southern Baptist or Catholic. So some people have said, well, your baptism is your initiation into hoodoo. It's like, no, that's your initiation into Baptist. That's what that is. Your first communion is your initiation into Catholicism. There is no initiation process in hoodoo, and an initiation process is what's required to make a thing close. All right, I'm gonna let you in.
Hello.
Mad Tao, how are you?
Body top.
Mad Tao.
Uh-oh, I think I'm
How are
lagging.
you?
I'm good. How are you? And light in progress, by the way.
Thank you. You're not lagging at all. You sound good.
Okay.
We're in
So
New Orleans. Where you
I
at?
happen to agree, and I'm speaking from an African American perspective because with African American, and I'm basically I'm Afro Latina. So I do happen
Okay.
to agree with you. I don't believe voodoo is a closed practice. One, because it's infused with Christianity, and like you said, Catholic and Baptist, and it's basically folk magic. Um,
Yeah.
there is no real initiation into hoodoo. Um, there are houses, and I do that with air quotes, that, and it's no offense to you, of course, that will not allow white people, right, or anyone of other ethnicities to come into their house, which whatever, that's how they feel, and I respect it, right? Because they want to limit it only to African Americans, and I respect that. I understand that. I get where they're coming from with that. Um,
Yeah.
there are ceremonies within here hoodoo. Well, I wouldn't say, I don't want to say ceremonies, but there are certain spirits in hoodoo that you do need to go through some sort of ceremony to work with that spirit, right?
Yeah.
And that's where
Of
it
course.
gets complicated for some people, that they don't understand and they get
Well,
it confused that it's an open or closed practice, because there are some spirits that you do need permission, and you do need, the secrets to work with them, right? So I do
absolutely.
agree with you about hoodoo, believe it or not. I'm one of
Well,
those Afro Latinas that do believe you, agrees with you.
since we haven't met, marry me. Um, I am a two-time initiate in Palomayombe. I'm a Tata in Palomayombe. Now, Palomayombe is an African traditional religion.
I'm a yaya,
Uh,
so I
oh,
know what it
well,
is.
Salam alaikum.
Malaikum salah. Um,
Okay.
I'm also a
Um,
santera, so
okay.
I am
So,
crowned
and that's where I was going
initiated
to
in
go. So, like,
Lukomi.
so you got Paulo, you got Santeria, you got Lukumi, you got your voodoo and your New Orleans voodoo, and then you got voodoo, which is voodoo. Those are all African traditional religions, and in those
Correct.
religions, the spirits decide. So what you're talking about is in hoodoo, humans deciding based on their bigotry that certain people of certain skin colors can't join. That doesn't happen in African traditional religion. The priest and priestess, the tata, yaya, madre, padre, whatever you got, they perform a divination to
Correct.
decide whether you can join, and then the spirits decide. Now, in my tradition, Palo Mayombe, actually all of Palo Cambisa, Palo Monte, Palo Mayombe, all of them, they are adamant that gay people cannot be poleros.
100%.
However, the majority of the poleros that I know are gay,
Okay,
and
well,
they have
let me
been factually they've been factually initiated by the spirits, because the spirits don't care about what the humans care about. Humans have bigotry
let me interrupt you, and I don't mean to.
about what the humans care about. Humans
Let
have
me
bigotry.
let me interrupt you, and I don't mean to. Here's a taboo that gays should not be to initiated into Palo Mayombe. Huge taboo. I'm only going to speak in Palo Mayombe because that's where I'm initiated into. I'm not going to speak in BC or anything. Mayombe. Huge taboo. I'm only going to speak in Palo Mayombe because that's where I'm initiated into. I'm not going to speak in BC or anything like that. I'm going to speak on Mayombe. It's a huge
Absolutely.
taboo. But I too know gays that are tatas. Okay? The situation with that is that there are gangas that are specially made for these tatas and for people that are initiated into Palo Mayombe. There's a certain nganga, there's a certain spirit that goes into that nganga. The taboo, which people have it confused, is you can get initiated, but you cannot scratch. That's the taboo. And there are gays that are scratching. There are tatas that are gay that are scratching, which goes against the taboos. That's something
Well,
that's something new. Just like in Santeria,
yeah.
you know,
Well,
things evolve.
it seems that the Nkisi doesn't recognize the taboo. While people may say a great many things, the spirits decide in African traditional religion. The priest and priestess don't decide. They only have an initiation and a ritual to perform. If the initiation goes okay, then they perform the ritual. They don't get to decide. Now, what you're talking about in hoodoo, they're deciding. Now, I've known plenty of gay poleros, but I always look back to my Tata's story. He went to Cuba. He got scratched in Cuba. He went to the graveyard in Cuba, threw his chumolongos on the grave, had the grave robbers rob that particular grave for the stuff. You know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
right.
But he says to the Tata before he got scratched, he goes, well, wait a minute, I got to tell you, before we do this, I'm gay. And the Tata just looked at him for the longest time and eventually went, and he goes, well, in America, we're taught that, gay people can't be scratched in the Apollo. And he goes, well, you're a man, right? He goes, yeah. He goes, you got a dick? He goes, yeah. He goes, does it work? Yeah. He goes, what's the problem? So the homeland of Palo is Cuba. It's not Africa. It is Cuba. Palo doesn't become Palo till Cuba. The ideas are African, but it doesn't become Palo till Cuba. So here he is, very prominent house, Viento Malo, in fucking Cuba. And then he says to the Tata what I just told you about. And the Tata looked at him like he was fucking crazy. So these may be American bigotry being utilized in polity. These taboos of which you speak don't seem
I'm
to
going to
exist.
disagree with you on the origin
Okay.
of Palo. The
Okay.
origin of Palo is from Africa, from the Congolese people, from the Congo tribe.
It
That
is,
is
but it
the
doesn't become
origin
Palo.
of Palo. When it got to Cuba, because of the transatlantic slave trade, just like Santeria, right? There were different things were because of the different tribes, because of the slave trade, different tribes were brought in. And because the Africans wanted to accommodate, right? So they intermingled a lot of rules and things like that and a lot of ceremonies, and they adjusted it because, as Christianity, which was a lot of, Catholicism, and I'm going to say that was the main one, wouldn't allow slaves to practice their practice. With that being said, Palo Mayombe, like I said earlier, is a huge taboo and it's very controversial. Still to this day, I see your point that it depends on the individual priest, right? I see where you're coming from. I'm not saying that gays are not allowed. I'm not going to say that because
Actually, I'm saying it's the Inkisi. It's the spirit that decides. It's not the priest. I mean, in that particular scenario, the priest
I'm
didn't
saying
care.
I'm saying it's the tata that decides whether they want to choose to allow to initiate a gay person. Now you're right. It's up to the Inkisi.
Hold on, wait. But that's not true though. The Tata does not decide. That's not how Palo works. The Inkisi decides, and the Tata
Inkisi
does what he says.
that no, because the tata is the person. First of all, in order to get into a house, you have to be accepted by that house. You have to get accepted by that munanzo. If a tata sees you, he's not, especially a tata that's against gays being initiated, right? Let's just say as soon as your friend came out and said, or your tata, forgive me for saying that, your tata came out and told his tata, "Oh, I'm gay." That tata at that moment could have said, because of how he felt, said, "Oh, you know what? No, I choose not to." So they do, even though it's up to Inkisi, even though it's up to Orisha, technically,
Not a reach.
no, I'm talking about Orisha and Santeria. Even if in it's up to Inkisi, even if it's up to Orisha, that you have to do divination with Orisha or Ifa, or Inkisi when we're speaking about Palo, even though technically it's up to them, you got to go first to the person. And the person has to decide whether they want to work with you or not. There are some santeros, and I know, okay, and I know some tatas, which whom I know personally, that will throw OB or shamalongos to find out if they could take that person in as a godchild before they even introduce them to their pot or to their deities. Right? So that's where I'm
Absolutely.
coming from.
But Inkisi is controlling the Chomalonga.
Yeah. But again,
That's pretty much what I said. Is that the Tata's job is to do an initiation and a ritual, or I'm sorry, a divination and a ritual,
no, I'm not
which is the
arguing that
initiation.
point. We're talking,
And
you're
Inkisi
saying that that's
decides
a
the
tata's
parameters.
job. It is a tata's job. You're 100% correct. But that's a tata that is going to do things technically and by law. It's tatas that feel the way they feel, right? And they feel that it's not supposed to be a certain type of way. And if they
But I've
see that
never
or have
known.
an inkling of that, they may not open their munazo to that person. Is there?
But I've never known a Tata to do that because the
Oh,
Inkisi
I know
decides.
some.
Tata goes along with. I mean, that kind of Tata is not really following Palo. If you're not doing what the Inkisi says, then you're not following Palo. You're
They
implementing your own attitudes into it.
they would disagree, and I'm just talking about again, I'm just a monkey in, like, I'm just a monkey in the middle. Like, I feel whatever I feel, and I'm not going to discuss how I feel. I'm just speaking from both perspectives. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, um, it really depends on the elect. It depends on the house and the person that's the head of the house. I mean, again, you're correct. It depends on the deity, on what they say. But you have to go through that person to get to that deity. And if that person is ignorant, then there's nothing you can do about that. You're just gonna have to go somewhere that, you don't find those type of people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the way it should work and the way it works in most houses is the Inkisi decides and the Tata goes along with it whether they like it or not. But there are those people that impose their own will into things. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. I mean, and I know tatas that 100% will not even deal with someone that is homosexual. I know tatas that will not deal with, white people, right? I know
Yeah.
tatas, you know, I know santeros, obas, orientes. We're talking people, babalaos, that will not do anything with certain types of people,
Well,
But
in the argument about hoodoo that often comes up, people will say to me, the ancestors will not work with you because of your skin color. And I always say to them, you must think the ancestors are stupid. Because the ancestors, even if they held a grudge against your entire line, they would know which family lines owned slaves. And they would know that nowhere in my family line was anybody ever owning a fucking slave. Yes, I've got white privilege. Yeah. I also got 20% African DNA, and all went, one place. But, I'm an olive skin motherfucker. And I don't even know what my fucking point was. But I don't think that the ancestors hold a grudge against a family line that never did anything to them. The ancestors don't hate you because of your skin color. Once you're dead, you have a way wider vision than we have on this planet. I would hope that the ancestors see things more clearly than we do our current manifestation. Hey,
as
corporate hermeticist, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good.
as a palera, as a santera, as a witch, as a person that works within necromancy and things like that, because I'm eclectic, I do a whole bunch of shit. Um, when a person dies doesn't mean that they become holier than thou. It doesn't mean that they elevate or ascend. Sometimes we have to help those spirits to ascend. So,
Well, yeah. I mean, isn't that the purpose of Palo Mayombe or Palo
not just
to
follow,
elevate?
it's
To
empiritismo too.
yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
a
We're
medium in any kind of
elevating.
a medium in
Yeah.
any kind of tradition. I mean, I'm not going to speak on European traditions because I don't practice European traditions, but I would think that any tradition that there's mediums and they work with spirits know that they have to help spirits elevate, right? They have to educate those spirits. In Palo Mayombe, your Congo spirits and your spirits are educated, right? In Espiritismo, your spirits are educated. But, and I'm not trying to go back and forth with you. I'm not. I'm just discussing with you, like, having a
No, that's
discussion.
cool. You're
Um,
doing great. Good discussion.
um, in hoodoo, you do have ancestors, right? And these are slave ancestors, right? And this is where I understand and I get and respect why African Americans and that have descendants that were slaves. I get it, and I respect that they want to keep their practice closed to people of that are Caucasian. I get that, and I'm not saying I agree with it because technically hoodoo is to me not a closed tradition. It's not. It's folk magic. There's no initiation into hoodoo. There's an initiation maybe to the house, but not into hoodoo. So you can't say it's closed. Where I will agree with you, I agree with you with that. And what I will agree with you is that we live in the year 2024, the century 2024, correct? In the year 2024, the 20th century. From, we would say, well, hundreds of years ago, there's so many mixed people with so many mixed ethnicities, and so, that you can't say that a person does not have license to work a tradition, because we have generational and we have ancient ancestors. And if we have an ancestor within that bloodline that worked that tradition, we cannot say they are not closed to, excuse me, to that tradition, whether they white, black, Chinese, Indian, whatever. You understand what I'm trying to say? That's technical. That's speaking on a technical perspective, right? So I'm just looking through a technical perspective. So that's where I kind of agree with you with that, because there's plenty of Southern white men, white women that had, relations with black people that practiced hoodoo probably, or their family practiced hoodoo. We're talking back in the days. Or that they were taught hoodoo, or they were taught palo mayombe, or they were taught voodoo or voodoo, right? So if I did divination on you and in that divination, a deity or a spirit tells me, oop, they have an ancestor that worked that religion, who am I to tell that person, you know what, you're close to this practice because you're white? I can't do that. Technically, I can't do that. Although I do respect where people are coming from, I get it. Where people are coming from, where they want to keep their practice pure and they want to keep it within the black community. I get it, and I respect that 100%. As a black woman, as an Afro Latina, I get it. I can't say that technically I agree with it. No, I don't. Not by technicalities. I don't. Because it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Is